bum bum, chicka chicka bum, chicka bum bum.
Hey, you ever met someone that teaches you a lot, but also had you super fucked up? Let's talk about it. I'm actually drinking Ocean Brew right now. I'm having my morning coffee and my morning mocktail. So this is actually just cranberry juice, some kombucha, and some Good Belly probiotics because gut health is important. Um, I have been going back and forth with some things lately. And one of the things are like accepting certain pieces of knowledge from people who genuinely had me fucked up. Like, so years ago, my mother joined this church. It was called Hallelujah Ministry. Hallelujah Ministry was full of shit. And I kind of knew that from a kid. But, like, as a kid, like, you just gonna do whatever your parents say to do. As I got older, I definitely realized it was just a whole bunch of bullshit. But there's certain things that you're just indoctrined in you and you just believe, right? It was a lot of hoopla, a lot of abuse, and a lot of trauma that was built into the church and that I've experienced in the church. Child, I am ashy. Hold on. None of my hands are that ashy anymore. So there's so much knowledge that I feel like I have, right? And so much of it, I feel like I only know because of the person who caused a lot of the harm and the trauma. And it wasn't my mother, right? Like, it wasn't just my mom, maybe I should say, because that's a whole nother thing. But the person who caused the most harm in this church was the pastor. And her name is Dorothy Turpin. She's still alive. And again, a whole nother story. But she was a bitch. Like, there's no way around it. But she was a smart bitch. And she also had a lot of information. She actually, like, was very smart and was a woman of a certain age who had accomplished a lot in her life. And she possessed a lot of knowledge that she shared. Some of it was bullshit. Most of it was bullshit. But a lot of it was actual things that helped me in life and just kind of knowledge and common sense and things that you just needed to know and how to maneuver in certain situations that I needed to know. And I remember bringing this up in therapy where it's like, how do you accept something from someone that caused so much harm? And it's just, the truth is, you just do. When we think about a lot of the information that we know, a lot of it came from some pretty fucked up people. But that doesn't negate the fact that it's still good information and knowledge that we should just know, right? So when I think about Dorothy, the pastor of Hallelujah Ministry, what is on my face? She is an evil person that possessed knowledge. And some of that knowledge, like, I still use to this day. You know, and it makes me even think about my loser ex. Like, he was a loser, and there's so many things that he just knew. He was a smart guy. And I say he's a loser just because of how we broke up, not because of what happened while we were dating. While we were dating, everything was great, but like the amount of issues that happened after the breakup was ridiculous. Um, but even this tripod I'm using right now, like he bought it for me, and it's just like this is part of his just knowledge of wealth. Even the most fucked up people can teach you something. And it's just hard for me as an individual to process that sometimes. And especially when it comes to the church and Dorothy and what she believed in and how she carried herself and what she thought was important. And it's hard sometimes. And then it also, like, unfortunately, there's a part of my psyche that just will never forget. And I feel like there's a part of me right now that's really trying so hard to forget and to move on. And it's hard because they're so embedded. The information that they applied or they've given is so embedded into my everyday life that it's just kind of like, I'm never going to forget you. I guess it's just more of what are the thoughts that I allow to exist or to fester on? I don't know, whatever. Or feelings that I fester on. Well, how do I allow this thought to manifest in my life? Or even do I? And I think for the most part, because I'm a dissociating queen, I just act like it doesn't exist. I act like they don't exist. I have a very toxic but well trained skill of just acting like people don't exist anymore. It's really bad. But I can just act like you're dead and just move on. It's really wicked. But it's the truth. And I feel like that's what I have to do for a lot of people. It's just kind of to allow to have peace of mind about the stuff that is just going to exist in my life because of them. I have to act like they just are, like, dead. Like I read it in a book somewhere. Or like a stranger. Someone I used to know. That's just been something I've been thinking about. How do I accept information from people that have me fucked up? But the church as a whole was crazy. I was watching God is Love. Is that what it's called? It was about the cult and the lady and how she moved to Hawaii and all this other stuff. And there were so many similarities about this, about just the mindset of a cult leader and who they are and how their mind works. It's just like, wow. So to equate Dorothy Turpin to that lady, and then for me to be able to like still move in some few information still exist in my life, it's my brain hurts sometimes. But it's also just like, I'm just happy that at my big grown age, and before I got to my big grown age, I was like, this is actually crazy. I'm just happy I didn't like ride for it. Like around 21 is 2021. Actually, I don't remember exactly how old I was. I know I was drinking, so I had to be like 22 actually. But like, I remember when I was like, oh, this is enough is enough. I already was questioning the process. So like, little backstory about how I got back into the church. So my mom was a part of it when I was a child. I moved to Miami, and then while I was in Miami, hold on, there's details I'm leaving out. This church was on the phone, so these women were on the phone all day long, having Bible study, confessions, words from prophecies from God, all kind of shit. Preparing for a war. It was wild, okay? So I'm watching this documentary and I'm just like, so this is just going all over the world, eh? Um, and when I was in Miami, my dad was just kind of like, yeah, no. Like, my dad was like, this is some bullshit. This ain't it. And I was just like, oh my God, what do you mean? Me being rebellious to my dad, I'm so devoted to my mom in this space. So I was like, no, what do you mean? And he wasn't having it. And then around when it was time for me to go to college, actually, I joined the church again because this time it was in person in Atlanta. And are my glasses okay? What the hell? Okay. So, and really, I joined again because I was like, this bitch has been saying for a long time that if you do this, this, and this, you're gonna have all of these things. Let's see if she's right. So I gave it a try. Why did I do that to myself? I don't know. Because I thought, I was like, well, maybe, right? Maybe if I just follow God. Ciao. GHETTO, baby. Have you ever been swallowed?
Have you ever been swallowed up? Have you gone through a time of swallowing where everything was overwhelmed?
Because what? It was crazy. And I'm like doing all this, going to school, working, doing my big one. And there were so many things that like, there was I had structure in my life, right? I knew on Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sunday, I knew I was going to Google Photos, like to send me little things, and this is me in high school. Oh. All right, so Tuesdays, Fridays, and Sunday, I knew I had Bible study, right? So I had structure in my life, right? I knew during this time and this time I wasn't gonna be able to do. So I used to do my studying, boom, 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 boom. I was so dedicated, right? And then I had more days, time to myself. I used to go to work, But as I started growing up, bills start racking up, things start coming up, life starts getting more expensive. I'm outside, baby. Like, I'm grown, So I'm just, able to really lean into who I am and learn about who I am. Black Lives Matter happened. And Dorothy Turpin, she said out of her mouth, do you think God would have said Black Lives Matter? Or would God have said all lives matter? And I was like, bitch, are you okay? Did you just hear yourself? I was like, actually, per the Bible and how Jesus rode, to your question, yes, I do think God would have said Black Lives Matter. Because Jesus was with the oppressed. So, yeah. What are you talking about? Black Lives Matter didn't negate that all lives mattered. Black Lives Matter focused on the oppression that happened with Black people. And it was like, I'm having this conversation and I literally just felt myself not giving a fuck. And I was just like, yeah, we're done. We're done. And then I graduated and I moved to Texas. So when I talk about like me overcoming the trauma and moving forward from the trauma of a cult, I realize like that shit is still very real, like recent in my brain. And a lot of the stuff that I'm doing now and the current reality and who I am, it's very new because it's like I really was suppressed for a long time, meaning like didn't even feel like I could be myself because, oh my God, it's gonna align with Satan. But Satan's kind of fun, so I don't know. Things I've learned now, you can have a little bit of everything and still be alright, right? Like, I'm just human, and I'm just trying to get out of this world in a way that I'm remembered in a way that is beneficial. I'm trying to live a life of freedom. Freedom to be, freedom to do, freedom. So, give me a minute while I process. But I really just wanted to talk about all of that and really just where I was at. I got some other things to talk about, but I'm just gonna end right here because I feel myself becoming very full of emotion because it's just like, But thanks for watching. Here's my nails and just giving you a little 1-2, a little bubble effect. And I hope you all be great.
Chicka bum bum bum, chicka bum, chicka bum bum.